Hello plastic model builders. I'm here with another video. As you guys have probably seen in some of my previous videos, I'm kind of all about finding the bargains when I can and, buying some used stuff or cheap stuff to help augment the things that I'm spending the big money on when I have to, right? Well, some of you folks may be familiar with the Ollies stores. They're kind of a nationwide chain, sort of a closeout place. They do all kinds of different stuff, and it's sort of like a treasure hunt. When you go there, you never know what you're going to find, and sometimes you can dig up some stuff at really good prices. One of the things that they have that is often quite good priced is the plastic models, and they don't have a huge selection or anything. Yeah, I guess it ends up being whatever closed out or didn't sell at various stores, and so they end up buying them out. That's basically their game. But they have better prices, like I say, than most places when you find these things there. In this case, I stopped by the Ollies on the way back from the racetrack. I was coming back from slot racing, and I found these models here that they had there, and thought I'd show them to you because these are a much better price than you're going to find elsewhere. So currently at Ollies, I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and this is Sunday the 8th, I believe, June 8th. So these are, going to be found in various quantities around the stores near you too, most likely. And you can especially find them, obviously, in the area by me. But they kind of move around, and you'll see them at the different stores, supposedly. They pop up in different quantities at different places. So you have to kind of keep an eye on your local stores and just stop by and see what they have periodically. Like I say, it's kind of like a treasure hunt. But anyway, first model I want to show you here, as you can see already, is this Thunderbird. A 1956 Ford Thunderbird model by Revell, and this is a 1/24th scale model, which I really like because I prefer the 1/24th scale. Obviously it works better with your slot car scratch building because it fits right in with the 1/24th scale other cars, and it works really well. But this is a Ford Thunderbird, and it's a kit, like I say, by Revell. It looks like a really nice kit. It has a bunch of parts. This is a high parts count kit. What are they showing? Oh, no, it's not. It's only 87 parts. Okay, so this isn't a real high parts kit, but they are showing it to be a skill level 4, so I guess it takes a little more detail work maybe than some of the others. I'm not sure. But anyway, at Ollies, they have them for $12.99. There's your Ollies tag. So, most places they would be around $25 or more, and even with, I guess at, Hobby Lobby, where a lot of the model builders go these days when they have their 40% off every other week, this car is probably going to be priced high enough that with 40% off, you're still not going to get it for less than $13. And in my case, I had a 15% off coupon too, so I used that on the purchase and got a little bit cheaper. Once you sign up for Ollies, you'll get these coupons, and they come in handy. But that's the Ford Thunderbird that I picked up, that I think a lot of people would be interested in. It's a beautiful car. These things would be fun to build for display or use as a track scenery, or to use the body as a scratch-built slot car, because for that price you can afford to do it. Next up, we have this Jaguar XKE E-Type, also a Revell model. Now this one was kind of a slap in the face when I saw it, because it really took me back. I built this same model when I was about 10 or 11 years old. It was probably about the third, somewhere around the third actual glue together type car model I'd ever built. I'd done a number of the snap togethers, and I was basically painting everything with a brush at this point. And I had tried to do some brush painting on the bodies of some of my previous cars, and they came out looking like crap. And this one, when I opened it up, the body was red. It was already molded in red color along with some of the other parts. Now, some people don't like that. They want to paint different colors, but at this point I was just a newbie, and I wasn't using a brush, didn't do me much luck. So on this particular car, this is the first one I ever tried to use this, just to use the color of the plastic, and I painted it with a brush with clear, a gloss clear over the outside. And so this was the first model I built that actually looked fairly presentable from the outside. It actually had a nice glossy, beautiful red color, and I was very impressed with it for myself, considering the ones I'd done before that, and I was super happy that it came out the way it did. Now, all of those models from that generation, you know, those teenage years and preteen years, I think they went the way of kind of a, what do they call it, Viking funeral. You know, it was sort of our own version of the Viking funeral. We would take them out and pour model airplane fuel and firecrackers, stuff firecrackers in them and pour fuel on them and catch them on fire and watch them burn. Now, I wish I'd had videos of all that stuff, because that would have been fun, but we didn't have video cameras much back then. But anyway, that was kind of the way all of them went, and I'm sure that's what happened to this one too. But when I saw this model, it was really exciting for me, because I think this is cool as heck. I'll have to rebuild this model that I did 50 years ago. And last but not least, this one is probably going to be most of interest for train and slot car people, because this is a 132 scale model of a Fruhoff 40-foot reefer trailer. Now, when you're looking around and trying to find these trailers anywhere, they're pretty hard to find, and they're usually really expensive, or at least to me they're expensive. But at Ollies they had these for $19.99. And let me back up a second. The Jaguar model, just like the Thunderbird model, these are $12.99. And the Fruhoff trailer here, it's a little more expensive. They want $19.99 for these. But like I said, these are a little bit more tricky to find, and usually considerably more expensive. But this is a 1/32 scale trailer, which is the thing that's the most interesting to me, running 1/32 scale slot cars, and maybe for a lot of other people too, because you can build this trailer up and it'll make some excellent scenery for a 1/32 scale slot track. So that's what I found as far as plastic models at Ollies. And like I said, for any of you plastic model builders, you might be interested in that. And for also people who use them for dioramas and such, you may be interested in this. They had these basically stick-on lights, and it's a strip light thing, but you get 6.5 feet of it for $4.99, which I think is probably a pretty good price. This particular setup comes with a remote, so you can activate the lights remotely, and it plugs into a USB port. So on my 1/43 scale slot track, where I started already putting lights on, some of the lights that I have set up on there, well, actually one of the overhead lights, yes, it's an overhead light now that I remember. An overhead light for photography runs off of a USB port, so I've already got a power cable run over there with a USB port. So I can plug this into that port as well and add some strip lights to that rig. I went ahead and picked up a couple of these. I'm going to try them out. I'm going to show you what they do here real quick, because I think they're pretty cool. Bear with me for a moment so I can turn off the lights and stuff. Maybe I'll edit out some of this. Alright, so here's what the lights look like. I've just turned them on. They're kind of going to this automatic flashing scene here, but you've got a lot of other choices. Here's the remote. I've turned up most of the background lights. Hope this shows up decently. But you get this little remote with it, which is pretty cool. You got a lot of different colors to choose from and different things you can do with it. Let's turn it off. Okay, there's off. Let's go on. That brings us back to this flash mode. If we just want solid colors, like let's say I want solid red, I can push the R button and I just get solid red. If I want solid white, we'll push the white button. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, solid white. So you've got a bunch of different choices as far as colors go. We can make it all sorts of different colors here, however you prefer. And then you can do some, like I said, different flashing and rotating kind of things. You got that choice and this choice here where it goes kind of slow. Let's see what this choice does. Well, I can't tell if that's a whole lot different in this setting. And then we got this here too. So anyway, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. I would probably just kind of keep it on this white light here, because I think if I mount that underneath my overpasses, that's going to be really cool. But for $5 for 6 feet, I think it's probably a pretty good deal. Also worth checking out if you're into this kind of stuff at Ollies. Wow! Well, that's a difference. But they still show up even with all this bright light behind it. So those guys are pretty bright for just being USB powered. But that's the end of that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.